Following the biggest win in franchise history, how will the Thunder capitalize on regaining home court advantage in the NBA Finals? Tonight it's Game 5. Oklahoma City hosting the Indiana Pacers, along with Josh Calloway. I am Colby Daniels. A dramatic close to the fourth quarter, Josh, at Indiana on Friday night. A game that looked like it was slipping away from the Thunder. Ultimately, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Alex Caruso all made big plays down the stretch, all left their fingerprints all over what is considered to be the best Thunder win in franchise history, and it becomes a best of three tonight.
Yeah, hard to argue best win in franchise history to find a way on the road, trailing all night, down 2-1 in that place that was on fire out there in Indianapolis, to respond and find a way just to gut that game out, get the stops, make the free throws. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was tremendous, obviously, in the final few minutes, like you said. Hard to argue best win in franchise history, and now you've got 2 games to win a title. Best of 3, 2 of them are going to be in this place in front of these fans. It's going to be insane in here tonight. It's all there for you. It's the best win in franchise history, but it means a lot less if you don't take advantage of it and go finish the job, obviously, here the rest of this series. So it's all in front of the Thunder, and it starts tonight with Game 5.
Game 1 was obviously a massive heartbreaker for the Thunder and Thunder fans, and I really don't think that they were able to move past that until the Game 4 win on Friday night, because now you've reset the series, right? If the Thunder don't win the NBA Finals, it's because they will have given up another game on their home floor, and Game 1 sort of becomes a distant memory at that point. So a massive opportunity and a massive game tonight in the history of the NBA Finals when the series is tied at 2 games apiece. The Game 5 winner is 22-8. 70% winning percentage for the Game 5 winner. So, again, I know there have been a lot of statistics that both apply and don't apply to what the Thunder have done this postseason, but a Game 5 win tonight is massive for either the Thunder or Pacers.
100%. I mean, going into the series, you and I both felt really good about the Thunder's chances to win it, in a large part because of home court and the fact that they didn't have to, even win a game on the road. If you just protect home court, you'd win the championship. Well, you let that get away in Game 1, but they got it back. They found a way to make up for that. The complete reversal in Game 4, you kind of steal one on the road, and now you're back in front of the home faithful. Like you said, you get that 3-2 lead. It's everything, right? I mean, if you go down 3-2, Indiana's got a chance to close that on their home floor on Thursday night, whereas if you're Oklahoma City, at the very least, you get a Game 7 back here on Sunday. So, obviously, it's a massive swing either way. They found a way to even it back up. 3-1 deficit in the finals. Only one team ever come back from that. You don't have to worry about that mountain to climb. Now you got to go get the lead and put some pressure on the Pacers. The pressure's kind of been on the Thunder really all series after losing the first game. You win tonight, you can flip that a little bit, put it on Indiana.
I'll be curious to see how both teams start the game tonight, because I thought the first 2 games in Oklahoma City, the Thunder dominated the majority of those 2 games, but you leave OKC tied 1-1. I think the second 2 games in Indiana were certainly closer games than the first 2 in OKC, but Indiana definitely won the majority of the minutes played on their home floor, and you also leave 1-1. This Thunder team has been incredibly battle-tested throughout this postseason, especially going 7 games with the Denver Nuggets, and then I think just this series alone, there have been a lot of swings. The Indiana Pacers haven't trailed in a series this entire postseason.
Right.
And this is probably the biggest adversity they've faced this entire postseason, following the Game 4 collapse on their home floor. So now they've got to go on the road, coming off that heartbreaking loss for them, which would have put them 1 game away from a championship. So I'm very curious to see how both teams respond and what the urgency is like out of the gate.
Yeah, a big question, especially to your point with Indiana. Do they let it linger, the fact that they were that close to a 3-1 lead, if they could just close it out at home, and they let the Thunder rally back and kind of steal one on the road? Oklahoma City's been so good responding to losses all year. They have had very few mental lapses in the postseason. It's happened a couple spots, like Game 3 against Minnesota. I'm not worried about the Thunder tonight. I would be a little worried if I was an Indiana fan coming in, that they're going to let that Game 4 loss kind of float with them and stick with them coming into here. Because if you do that with this place and this team, the way they can turn you over and run and ride the crowd, you could find yourself in a big hole, and then it's over right in the first quarter. So Indiana, they got to be mentally ready tonight from the start if they're going to find a way to win this thing in this place.
I feel like so many times throughout this postseason, we've come into one of these games saying, I feel like this is going to be one of the all-time electric atmospheres in Paycom Center history, right? I mean, dating to before this place was called the Paycom Center. Tonight is absolutely that case. I know in the Minnesota series, just being back in the Western Conference Finals, it felt like a very big deal, first time since 2016. Game 1 of this series being in the NBA Finals for the first time since the 2012 team. I know there were a couple times in the Denver series that it just really felt like the season was on the line, and this place absolutely delivered. Tonight is one of those nights where you expect the Paycom Center to be one of those special atmospheres that anybody inside the arena is going to remember for a long time.
Absolutely. We kind of talked about it at the time. Game one, it felt like there was a little bit of, a lot of excitement, but they never could really get totally revved up. Game two, they were trying to almost will them to get the series back tied. Tonight, Thunder fans have been waiting since Friday night for this game. They can smell blood in the water. They know they are this close, 2 wins from a championship. I expect the very best that this place has to offer. We know this is one of the loudest arenas in the entire NBA. It's going to be a scene in here tonight because these fans know they are that close to a title for the first time for this franchise. The very best that Thunder fans have to offer, we're going to get it tonight.
Last time the Thunder played on this court was the big Game 2 win, evening the series. You got great production out of pretty much everybody on the team, right? SGA was fantastic. J-Dub and Chet certainly were better in Game 2 than Game 1. Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, Aaron Wiggins, all of those guys delivered in a big way. A lot of those guys are international players that have made their way from the international stage to the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Indiana Pacers are also well represented by international players, which is a big key to this series overall. And our own Christina Santiago has more on the international flavor of the NBA Finals.
The NBA Finals truly showcase basketball as a global game, featuring key players from Canada, Germany, Cameroon, just to name a few. The international talent brings a unique energy to the championships. Players opened up about what it means to represent their country on basketball's biggest stage. With Canada boasting the most representation in the finals, 4 Canadians tying the national record for the second straight year. They're just one of several countries showcased in this battle for an NBA title. You have Isaiah Hartenstein representing Germany.
It means a lot, I think, just growing up over there. You watch Nowitzki make it this far, you watched him win it, so now just being able to be in this situation where you can play not just for Oklahoma City, not just for the name on the back of your jersey, but then also for the country back home, I think it means a lot.
Pacers star Pascal Siakam from Cameroon is another standout, and at the center of conversation this finals and continuing the international MVP streak, now stretching to 7 years in a row, is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Supporting him on this final series is fellow Canadian and NBA All-Defensive First-Team selection Lou Dort, who says this moment reflects years of national pride and hard work.
It's big. It's just showing that kind of basketball keeps growing. I feel like there's been a Canadian, NBA player in the finals for the last, I don't know how many years, and then it just shows how there's a lot of talent there. And then every time that we sacrifice our summer to play with the national team, it prepares us for a whole season. And then I'm happy that there's a lot of Canadians on this stage right now.
Pacers' Andrew Nembhard, who played with Team Canada in the Olympics, says this international momentum, especially in Canada, can inspire the next generation.
It's good for the country, good for the young guys looking up to. I know when I was younger, I was looking up to players in the league and seeing the possibility of me playing there, and it was always inspiring. So I think it's good for the country.
These international players are proving that basketball knows no borders in the fight for an NBA title. Reporting in Oklahoma City, I'm Christina Santiago.
Thank you, Christina. In terms of this Game 5 performance tonight, I'm very curious to see how they handle Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is exceptional in Games 1 and 2 in this building.
Yeah.
In terms of all-time great Shai games, Game 3 was a disappointment, and that's a pretty high bar. But he bounced back in a big way in Game 4. Obviously, in the clutch time was sensational. One of the all-time great NBA Finals clutch time performances. Now, a lot of that was because of the Game 4 adjustments made by Mark Daigneault. Following the loss, a lot of the conversation on Thursday, back at Indiana Media Day, was, are you tired? Has this team worn you down?
Yeah.
They made a conscious effort to either prevent that from happening or get him rest within the game by taking him out early in the first quarter, putting a lot more on the shoulders of Jalen Williams in terms of bringing the ball up the floor, running the offense, and we got an incredible performance from Shai. I don't know how much fatigue potentially plays into tonight after having a couple games off, but SGA talked about just being this late in the season and the fatigue that ultimately builds up with a championship on the line.
It's tiring for sure, but every game's tiring. When you're giving your all, every possession, you're going to be tired. I don't think I'm the only one out there that's tired. But yeah, it's something new for a lot of us. A lot of us haven't been this late into this season. But I think above all, it's been very fun. It's been everything I dreamt it to be growing up. There's no other place in the world I'd rather be, and I'm grateful to be here. Thankful for the experience for sure.
He acknowledges that they're tired, right? I mean, that it's starting to add up. The mileage is starting to add up, but also throws out, like, I wouldn't have it any other way. This is where I want to be. This is what I've dreamt of my entire life.
He stepped up throughout these finals, and he was obviously the difference in the Game 4 win, finding a way on the road. That final 15 of 16 stretch, I think, will live around here a long time, especially if they win the title, obviously, if they can finish it off this week. Credit to his Toronto brethren, Ryan Nembhard. He's made it hard on him, but SGA found a way down the stretch. He's had a great finals. I expect him to continue here tonight at home.
Part of what ultimately helps him, I think, in these final 2 to 3 games of the NBA Finals is the Thunder having 2 games on their home floor. You expect your bench is going to be much better on the home floor. And while I don't know that there's a decisive edge either way between OKC and Indiana, you do feel like you've had more of the Pacers role players delivering in big moments than the Thunder role players. We'll see if Aaron Wiggins and guys like that can step up big tonight in Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Along with Josh Calloway, I am Colby Daniels from the Paycom Center. We're about 20 minutes away from the doors opening and fans making their way into what is going to be an electric building all night long. And we'll check in with our own Grant Palmer at Thunder in the Park on the other side of the break. Tonight it's Game 5 of the NBA Finals. OKC and Indiana tied at 2 games apiece following a dramatic fourth-quarter comeback win by the Thunder in Game 4 on the road Friday night. Can't wait to see what this building is going to be like. We're about 15 minutes away from the doors opening. I think immediately the energy is going to skyrocket inside the Paycom Center. I would imagine there is a tremendous buzz around the Paycom Center right now, and we'll check in with our own Grant Palmer, who is at Thunder in the Park. Grant, what's going on over there?
Yeah, guys, 2 words I got for you. Party, atmosphere. That is how it's feeling down here today. You know, what's even better than a party is a party where you can get your hair cut, and that is where Fading Up Barbershop is set up right here. And let me tell you about, what I'm talking about over here. So this is my man, Sergio. He is giving my man a fresh cut right here. Sergio, how's it going?
Boy, good, man. Thunder up.
Thunder up, that's right. And you, sir, what is your name?
Roger.
Roger?
Yeah.
Awesome for you to be out here, Roger. What are you having Sergio do to your hair out here today?
I'm getting the Oklahoma style.
The Oklahoma style fade?
Getting a Thunder logo.
A Thunder logo on the back of his head?
Yes, sir.
All right, Thunder up. Now, are you going to be getting some lightning bolts as well, sir?
No, not today.
Not today. That's okay. But you know what? Hey, we are ready for this game. Any game time predictions that we got?
We're going to win the whole thing.
We going to win the whole thing. That's right. Thunder up. Thunder up in the Park is back, ladies and gentlemen. We are ready for Game 5. We'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Grant. Look, I think there's a lot of Thunder in 6 around town.
Sure.
After evening the series on Friday night. They're still the betting favorite. They never lost, I think, being the betting favorite despite falling down 0-1, despite being 2-1. I mean, they've been the betting favorite in every game of this series. They have remained the betting favorite to win the series, and that clearly just grows with the Game 4 win. Expectation is that Thunder win 2 of these final 3, most likely on your home floor, going to be the best opportunities, but you got to get it done in Game 5, and I'm really curious to see what the overall mentality is, right? Because for the first time, you've really made the Pacers have to play on their back foot following the comeback win, and for the Thunder, I mean, it's just about showing up with urgency, right, and capitalizing on the Game 4 win, not taking it for granted that you're back on your home floor.
Yeah, I'm really not too concerned with that being a problem for the Thunder, but I agree completely. I mean, this is the first time since the series has started that Indiana probably feels a little heat to win a game. I mean, I know that they know that it's not an elimination game, but you really don't want to play a Game 7 back here. Obviously, that goes without saying if you're Indiana. So I know they probably feel the pressure a little bit to come in here and try to get the lead back, coming back home to Indianapolis for Game 6 on Thursday. First time really that's been the case all series, so curious to see how they respond to it. I'm very interested in the mental part of the game for the Pacers tonight.
Let's see what Jalen Williams had to say on the Game 5 mentality.
Treating this as Game 1. You know what I mean? Like, you can't really focus on what happened in the past or what you could have changed on game one. You know, you're just looking at the fact that it's tied up now. And I feel like that's the most like clean slate attitude you can have with it. And that's the approach that I think both teams are taking. That's definitely the one we're taking. And you just kind of go in there and figure out how to win game 5, and that'd be it.
There you go. You got to figure out a way to win Game 5. Treat it like you are down, right? Treat it like you're coming off a loss. That's the only mentality you can have at this point.
Absolutely. And, Jalen Williams, him specifically, been really impressed with the way he's played. We talked about it. He was a huge reason why Oklahoma City hung around in Game 4. I think sometimes Thunder fans, all of us, we are guilty of losing sight of the fact that it's just year 3 for J-Dub.
Right.
He's had a phenomenal series. I expect him to play really well here at home. The Thunder have been really good about having the right mindset throughout a lot of this postseason. I expect that'll continue tonight.
And you forget that this team overall is as young as they are. I mean,
Yeah.
I know that was a big narrative when the playoffs began. You kind of forget it because they feel like they're so battle-tested, but they're learning on the spot, right?
Chet's in year 2.
They're making
Yeah.
these adjustments in the biggest stage while learning through, I think, the early stages of their NBA careers,
Right.
much less, figuring out how to win on the biggest stage possible. All right, along with Josh Calloway, I'm Colby Daniels. We'll take one more time out. It's our keys to the game next here on a special edition of The End Zone from Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Welcome back to the Paycom Center. Along with Josh Calloway, I am Colby Daniels. Game 5 of the NBA Finals tonight. Tip-off at 7:30. Series tied at 2 games apiece. Game 5 winners go on to win the series at a 70% clip. Josh, we'll give keys to the game in a moment. Excited to see the fans come in the doors here in a few minutes, and I think the energy level in this building is about to drastically raise. But before we give keys to the game, predictions on the starting lineup. I know that's been a very popular talking point throughout the series.
I think they're going to leave it with the double big, what we saw in Game 4. We talked about that a little bit after Game 4. I could kind of be talking them either way. That was probably their worst first quarter of the series. In fact, it certainly was their worst first quarter of the series. But I think they're going to stick double big, Case and Wallace off the bench, if I had to guess.
They had won the first quarter in all 3 games with Case and Wallace, but lost the fourth quarter, and that flipped the other way. So, I mean, adding Hartenstein into the lineup didn't do anything for you early, but I think it's more about rotations maybe than who starts.
100%.
Either way, you just got to play this game with urgency tonight. All right, keys to the game.
All right, keys for me. First one, to win the turnover battle. It's kind of a twofer there. Take care of the ball and also force some turnovers on your side. Get out and run. The Thunder got thundered in Game 3. Remember, they turned over way too much. It was much more even in Game 4. But if Oklahoma City can get out and run and they can take care of the ball on their end, they're probably going to be in pretty good shape. Second one for me, the bench has got to be better. Outside of Alex Caruso, who was phenomenal, pretty much nobody else on the bench did much of anything, frankly, in the 2 games in Indianapolis. Aaron Wiggins, who was awesome in Game 2, you need him. Isaiah Joe to hit some shots. Cason Wallace, someone outside of just Alex Caruso, give this Thunder some bench production will be a big one for me. And then slow down the stars. In Game 2, Pascal Siakam went 3 of 11. Tyrese Halliburton had 5 points going into the fourth quarter. The Thunder ran away and won that game comfortably. If you can find a way to repeat that, you'll be in good shape.
I'll go Captain Obvious here, but you got to shoot the 3-ball better, right? I mean, 3 of 16 is not a recipe for success.
Yeah.
I would be hard-pressed to say that they win another game in this postseason only hitting three-pointers. Now, luckily, I think they were good with shot selection, but some of those have to go in tonight. You expect that to happen on your home floor. Number 2 for me kind of plays into your depth key, and that's to keep SGA fresh. You're not able to keep him fresh for the fourth quarter to deliver the heroic performance that he gave in Game 4 if you don't have a supporting cast that's able to give him those minutes of rest on the bench that aren't putting you in a hole while Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is on the bench. And finally, we've said it a couple times, I think you have to approach Game 5 like you lost Game 4. You have to approach this game with urgency, like the season is on the line. You have to give the Paycom Center a reason to get loud, a reason to become that fire-breathing dragon that it can be when they have things rolling, to avalanche the hopes and dreams of the opponent. So urgency, I think, from the start out of the gate is a massive one for me.
Basically, just pretend that this is Game 7.
That's right.
Just mentally, this is Game 7
That's right
now.
Yeah, should be a fun one. I think the gates are about to open, and tip-off is set for 7:30. Along with Josh Calloway, I am Colby Daniels. We'll have complete post-game coverage tonight. It's Game 5 of the NBA Finals. OKC, Indiana tied at 2 games apiece.